Hey guys, this is Dr. Matt Winning at winningstrength.com, and I wanted to start a small series. I'm not a huge shit talker, to be honest with you. I don't like busting people's balls and whatever, but I had a person on my Patreon, which if you're not on that, please subscribe. We answer questions on literally every 3 hours on training. We show you guys what we do at the gym. We answer tough questions. I post my sponsors. Great connections for peptides as well as supplementation that are FDA regulated by ATP Labs. But I'm not a huge fan of busting people's balls, but this person, I just could not stop myself, right? This dude's name is Brian Johnson, aka Liver King. Now, the interesting thing about Liver King is obviously his leanness gets people to listen to what he's saying. But I think that if you find a lot of the shit that he's trying to put out, what you start finding is this guy is, in my opinion, complete garbage. So one humongous red flag and slash, I don't want to listen to anything you have to say, is the dude in 2002 got ab implants in Singapore. So ab implants are now covering up any of his normal athletic abdominal development. This is a huge issue because now you've just surgically modified your body and blamed it on something else that you're doing, i.e. this ancestral lifestyle crap. So that's a huge issue. The other big thing that I think is that, you know, when you get busted taking exorbitant amounts of anabolic steroids and other drugs to look the way you look, it's difficult when you're just trying to sell a product. Now, I do agree with certain things that Liver King says, i.e. there is a time and a place for anabolic assistance. Many people have lower TRT levels or testosterone levels naturally and can be optimized. But as if what I see on the internet is true, that he was spending $11,000 a month on drugs, this starts to break the entire mold of what he's saying, because what I saw was he was taking in somewhere around 150 milligrams of testosterone a week. For anybody that's taken TRT or been prescribed testosterone from a doctor, you would realize that's about $10 to $20, maybe $25 a week in anabolic steroids and or testosterone replacement therapy. So that doesn't add up. The next thing you start to see is his color. He's very red and almost looks like he's sunburned on a consistent basis. This is due to the fact that his blood pressure is probably extremely high, which I have seen in a lot of lifters in the past 25 years, which are taking in excess of around 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of testosterone per week, which means their hematocrit and hemoglobin is making their blood extremely thick and therefore raising their blood pressure. So that's a huge issue as well. The next big thing that I see is that people think that he got rich from what he looks like, when in reality, he was already very well funded to begin with. He owned some type of a dentistry practice that he sold, and he was also some type of a medical salesman during this process, in which he's flipped completely over to being an influencer. The problem is that I don't like people in general, and another red flag is influencer. You know, if there's one thing that we are not at Winning Strength, we do not influence. What we do is we coach, and we have the degrees in the coaching fields in order for us to have some sort of an opinion or a piece of information that most people would not have due to the education level. I myself have a doctorate, and 2 of my online coaches that do our online coaching on the website have either played professional sports or been strength conditioning coaches for at least 25 years, some of which are at a very high level, i.e. Olympic level and or professional level. So this gives us a huge aspect of understanding how the body is supposed to train. One of the big red flags that I saw just digging through what he was doing, because to be honest with you, I kind of ignored all of his shit. I could see right through it. But what I started to notice was that everything he ever did in training, nothing was impressive to me. And that was a huge red flag that, again, the general population mostly just looks at aesthetics. And it's sad, because what you find is that aesthetics can be very easily, in my opinion, camouflaged with anabolic steroids and just eating clean. And I'm not saying that eating clean is easy. it is difficult. But what I'm saying is that guys that end up trying to be insanely strong is not drugs. Yeah, I've never seen a bottle of testosterone lift a weight, right? And that's a kind of a elementary way to look at it, but think about it, it's true. I'll give you my own personal example. I squatted 826 in the USAPL IPF drug-free as a junior before taking drugs, and then within the next 2 to 3 years, I squatted 1,000. But remember, I squatted 823, 826 drug-free. So a lot of times guys that get insanely strong tend to already be strong before the supplements come into play. And that's not true for everyone, but in my particular case, that was extremely true. So what I find is that strength tends to separate the people that are just trying to sell aesthetics versus the people that are basically lying through their teeth in order to get them to buy into a system, a scenario, or a supplement. And so that is another huge issue. I think that the big thing is, guys, is that we have to be careful following influencers that, one, talk about certain scientific principles that they don't really have their facts straight. Two, I think we have to be careful in people that utilize a lot of drugs to get lean. For example, some of the stuff that I saw in the reports were that he was taking IGF-1. Now, IGF-1 is a great muscle builder. It helps to reduce body fat tissue, but it also increases prostate and breast cancer. So these are things that are catch-22s, and somebody like Liver King, maybe it's worth it if he's making what they say he's making, which is somewhere around 10 or 15, maybe $1 million a month off of what he's doing. Maybe the risk is worth the reward. But for the average person that's trying to look good at a local Anytime Fitness or a Lifetime Fitness or just some dude at the mall, do you really want to put yourself in a position that you're possibly going to be very unhealthy just because you want to look good in a wife beater at the mall? So again, one of those things, guys, that I want you guys to try to work on staying away from influencers, because as we've seen in the past 5-10 years, almost all the influencers that have created a huge buzz in the industry are either, one, they're dead, or two, they're super unhealthy, or three, they're just non-existent anymore. So let's be smarter as consumers and start realizing when somebody's feeding us bullshit, and hopefully we can get to the top and try to get through all this shit that basically, that's the problem. What I find with YouTube and Instagram and TikTok is that it almost makes people famous that shouldn't be famous. And, I'll get into another guy here later, but this one focuses on Liver King. Hope to see you guys at winningstrength.com, and I hope you guys like the video. Talk to you guys soon.